So in this video, we have a woman who comes across as very combative, right? Every guy that she's dealt with has said the same thing. And for her, she doesn't feel that's the case, right? She said she doesn't think she's a very combative person. She's just a person that likes to express herself. So in this video, she's gonna break down her reasons for that and why she feels the way she does. So let's hear what she has to say, and then I'll share my thoughts afterwards.
Unfortunately, every man I've ever met in my entire life has called me combative, which I do not agree with.
All right off the jump, she's combative, right? She said that every guy that she's dealt with that says she's combative, and she doesn't agree with it. Already starting off combative. So that's not a good start. And just one thing, right? Any guy where it says, like on the description, it says, "I will always speak my truth." Any woman that talks about speaking their truth, man, just don't deal with it. Just leave. Just run. Right? Because with the truth, my truth is whatever is going on in your head, whatever thoughts is going on in your head, that's your truth. And that's just, sometimes you just don't want to deal with that. So definitely be careful with someone that's talking about my truth. All right? Let's let her continue.
What they call combative, I call keeping up a conversation. Like, if I don't agree with something you're saying, I'm not about to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show and agree with everything you're saying. I'm going to prove my point. One time, whenever I was preparing for interviews, one of the questions that I was preparing for was, what would you do if a manager didn't agree with what you were saying? And my response was, well, I would go back and look at the data to see if I'm right and then prove my point. To which the interview prep person was like, that's not what you're supposed to say. You're just supposed to say that you agree with the manager. And I'm like, well, that's not very productive for the whole company. Like, if I just nodded my head like a bobblehead every time someone says something, even though I don't agree with them, that doesn't get anyone anywhere.
Look you're in an interview, right? Your goal is to get the job. Your goal is to get the job. Make sure you're saying the right answers. And the reason why you have to be careful with that is that, for a lot of these managers, yes, we understand when you're dealing with corporate, there's just a certain way you have to go about dealing with, certain people. However, nobody wants to work with a person who is difficult, right? If you're going to be a person that's going to argue with your manager all the time, they're not going to want to work with you. They're not going to want to deal with you. Right, so you have to be very careful when you're dealing with these corporations, working for a company, and you're dealing with managers, because a lot of these managers have a lot of ego. So if you're someone that's trying to get the job, say the right thing. Okay, just say the right thing to get the job. And if you have this attitude that you're going to be combative, you're probably not going to be there for very long, because nobody wants to deal with a very combative person, especially in the workplace. So you have to be careful. And I understand, like, she seems like a person that, something's an issue. There's just, you have to find out a different way to deal with that problem, how to bring up that problem. All right. Like, if you see that there's something that needs to be worked on and you see there's a better way to do it, yeah, bring it up to your manager, right? Bring it up to them. Like, I don't think there's any harm with that. But if you're going to be someone that's going to be like, I think you should do it this way and be very combative, you're probably not a good fit for that company. All right. So let's let her finish up.
Personally, I think that it's very productive to have an open conversation with people that don't agree with you and come to a common ground rather than just agreeing with people and whatever they say. Like, the other day too, my boyfriend was upset at me because I said yes to plans with a couple of friends when he didn't want to go. And instead of saying it's my fault, because it was not my fault, he said yes, he didn't have to say yes. I was like, you could have said no. And he got so upset at me because he's like, you say something to everything. Like, you are so combative. And I'm like, I'm not combative. I just speak my truth. I don't agree with you. So I don't know. I just feel like guys don't like it whenever they hang out with me because I have something to say for everything.
Yeah, because nobody wants to deal with that. Like, all right. If you're in a place where, you're around a bunch of people and, maybe there's something that you disagree with, right? Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, give your thoughts, share your thoughts and opinions about that. If there's something you agree with, yeah, definitely share your thoughts and opinions. However, if you are someone that, like she said, she's had multiple boyfriends or whatever that said she's a very combative person, that might be a you problem, right? If you're around a bunch of people and then you find out, people don't like being around you, that might be a you problem, right? Same thing with me, right? If I'm someone that's, creating content on YouTube, right? And I create a video on a certain topic and, there's a bunch of comments that just, say, oh, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, what the hell is he saying? Like, you're wrong about that. And then I look at the data analytics in the background and I see people not watching my videos for too long, then that's a me, right? That's a problem with me. It's not the audience, it's not the viewers, it's me. It's something wrong with my video. My video sucks. It's not getting the job done. So it's something I have to figure it out and fix with myself, right? if you as an individual are having all these conversations with people and they're all saying the same thing, you need to start looking inward, right? And start saying, all right, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to change about myself, right? And like I said, you have the right to be, you have the right to act however you want. Like, right, this is America. If you feel like you want to speak about a certain subject, you want to be combative, go right ahead. That is your prerogative. However, people don't have to deal with that, right? They don't have to deal with you, right? And people understand that. Like when you're dealing with someone, you meet somebody that you never met before for the first time, and you feel like a certain energy is like, you know what? I don't know if I want to hang out with this person, or maybe this person sounds pretty cool. I might want to hang out with this person. Then that people see that. But if you're constantly getting feedback where people don't want to be around you, or because you're very combative, then you need to start looking inwards and start saying, okay, what do I need to change about myself? And another thing, this is when it comes to men. Men don't want to deal with combative women, right? Men like our women nice, soft, all right? Nice and soft and feminine, right? Feminine women don't tend to really argue a lot. They don't tend to be very combative, right? Not to say that you just be silent and you never give your thoughts or your opinions. Like if I'm dealing with like I remember in high school, going to high school into college, I had a girlfriend who argued all the time. It was always arguing. Nice girl, man. She's a great girl, but we argued a lot. Safe to say that relationship didn't work out, right? It didn't work out. And she's a great girl, but it's just that there was a lot of arguing. Men don't want to deal with that, especially when it comes to a woman. Like we like to deal with the nice, soft woman that's not going to argue all the time. Yes, you want to share your opinion. I think that's a good thing, right? You have a thought about something. I think for men, right? When we're making decisions about everything, when we're thinking about certain stuff, like sometimes men can be very stubborn. When we're making decisions, we like to be stubborn about things. We like to get this done a certain way. I think it's a good thing to, if you have a feminine perspective to say, all right, just to hear what they have to say, like, say, so you could be like, I never thought of it that way. Right. All right. I thought about it one way, now hearing it that way, that's something to consider. Right. And then, as a man, you think about it and say, all right, I consider this thought, then I'll come to a decision. Right. So I think that's always a good thing. However, to get to a point where you're bringing up something and it's just constant back and forth, no man wants to deal with that, and you shouldn't have to deal with that. Like me personally, I do not argue with women. I truly don't. I really don't. Especially, I wouldn't argue with a woman I'm dealing with, in a relationship. It's just something I don't do. Like arguing with women is just something I do not do. I don't like to do. I don't want to do. I shouldn't have to do it. Right? Share your thoughts and opinion. Disagree with something, I'll listen. But however, back and forth, you'll never hear me go back and forth. I don't understand men that go back and forth with a woman. It's annoying. It's like, why do it? If I have to deal with that with a woman all the time, especially now that I'm older and I really understand better, I'm not dealing with that person because I don't want to deal with the person that I always have to argue with. Right? And for her, she seems like, if you just look at her, she seems like the arguing type. She seems like the type of person that always wants to get into it. Like she seems like a person that she needs to always share her thoughts. You need to listen to her, and like she seems like she's always right. And if you don't want to hear it, then something's wrong with you. Some people just don't want to deal with that type of person, right? And for men, the way men go, right? Men, I think for me, combativeness is a very masculine thing. Right? Men understand it. Like when you're talking to a guy, you're talking about sports, you're talking about politics, you're talking about something. It's easy for men to be combative, right? As long as it doesn't cross the line of disrespect, because we understand as men that things can get violent if we, cross the line of disrespect. Some women don't really understand that line, and of course, a man can't get violent with a woman that's disrespectful. So it's just no point of even getting to that point. But for men, we understand that it's easy. It's okay to be combative as long as you don't cross that line of disrespect. But men, we understand that we can get combative and then have some drinks afterward, and everything is good. But overall, it's just like when you look at her energy, her personality, she just seems like a person that you don't want to be around often. And she says she has a boyfriend, man. More power to her boyfriend, because that's tough to deal with. That is tough to deal with. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit the like button, share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so guys, take care. Have a good one. Later.